Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make these newborn size 0 to 3 months old, how to make these Glover stitch baby booties. To make these, since I've never really made baby booties before, I was looking around online and I found a really great tutorial for by a lady whose channel is called Whistles and Ivory. And I asked her because she did have just the soles, so just the sizes. And it's so easy just to go by the size that she has there for the sole and then create the booty. So I asked her if it would be okay if I used her pattern for that and did a tutorial using it, and she said yes. So I really would love if you guys would check out her channel. She has a lot of other baby stuff, and not just baby stuff. And if you do go and see one of her videos, don't forget to tell her Melodora sent you. So I'm going to be showing you how to make this newborn size and also the little flower. And all of this takes very little yarn, so you really don't need a lot. You can do this project with scrap yarn. I used a 3.5 millimeter hook, but she recommends for her soles and also it's easier to get in the States, I think, a size F hook, which is a 3.75 millimeter hook. Also, you're going to need a stitch marker, and that's it. All you're going to need is that. And oh, the yarn is a worsted weight yarn, 4-ply for the US, 10-ply for Australia. So go ahead and grab that stuff and we'll get started. Oh, I forgot to add, this size is 0 to 3 months. This is newborn size that I'm going to be showing you today. Okay, to begin our booty, we want to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Try not to be too tight. And in the second chain from the hook, you'll want to work 3 single crochets inside that same chain. So find the second chain from the hook, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and 3 single crochets. Now in the next 3 chains, you want to work 1 single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Now in your next chain, you want to work a half double crochet. So yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, pull through all 3 loops. Now for your next 2 chains, you want to put a double crochet. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and you should have 1 chain left. And in this last chain here, she wants you to put 7 double crochets, all worked in this 1 chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you see how it's kind of looping you around now? So now you're going to start working on the opposite side of these stitches that you did. So that you're going to be using that same chain, just the other side of the stitch. So after your 7 double crochets, you'll put 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So this is the place where we just put all those double crochets. So the very next stitch here, you're going to work, and you can go under 1 or both. I usually go under both of the stitches. So there's 1 and then 2. Then you want to work a half double crochet in the next stitch. Pull through all 3 loops. and then single crochet in the next 3. So in the next 3 stitches you'll put 1 single crochet, and then that ends the round. I forgot to mention at the end of round 1 you should have 22 stitches. She recommends that now you put a stitch marker to mark this first, I should say the last stitch of the round. Now for round 2, we're going to single crochet 2 in the next 3 stitches. Now if you look on your own project you'll be able to see it better. There is the chain from before, where I should say the last skipped one. We couldn't go into the very last chain obviously, so we had to start in the second chain. So make sure that you skip this chain and go right into that first single crochet. So this is our chain, this is our first single crochet. So we're going to go into that first single crochet. It's hard to do it at this angle, and you'll put 3 single crochets in there. So 1, 2, and that's it. We'll do that for the next 2 stitches as well. So the next stitch, put 2 single crochets. Ooh, losing it there, lost one of my single crochets. Okay, and then the third stitch as well, 2 single crochets. So we have 3 stitches with 2 single crochets in it. And then she wants you to work single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So just put 1 single crochet in the next 7. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And single crochet in the next 2 single crochets into the next. Okay, wait, no, I skipped one. 7. Okay, now she wants you to put 2 single crochets in each of the next 5 stitches. So we're going to do what we did here, put 2 single crochets in 3 stitches. We're going to do the same thing, but we'll be doing it in 5 stitches. We're going to be making our toe area here. So this will be the first stitch, putting 2 single crochets in it. Then the second stitch, putting 2 single crochets. Third stitch, putting 2 single crochets. Fourth stitch, 2 single crochets. And then the fifth stitch, 2 single crochets. Then single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. You have a tail here, which I should say I have a tail here. Usually I would work it in as I go, but I guess I'm just going to have to hide it later. Hide your tails well when it comes to baby booties. So that puts us at the end of the row after those 7. And I'm going to go ahead and move it up right there. And a little tip for you, because it took me a little while before I figured this out. So I wanted to show you, when you have a really small tail like this, where you can't actually thread it and then hide it, just put your needle in where you want it to go and then thread it. And I'm doing an awful job at threading this. So thread it, and then you can pull it through your stitches and hide it, tug on it. Little trick for you in case you run into doing the same thing I just did. Okay, so anyway, that is the end of round 2. I want to mention real quick, for the end of round 2, you should have 30 stitches. We moved our stitch marker up. Now for round 3, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the following. And she wants us to do this 3 times, so that's 1 time. Then we're going to repeat that again, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the next, and that's 2. So we'll do that one more time, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the next. Single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 in the next. Do this 5 times. So we're going to do what we just did before. We'll put 1 in the first stitch, and then we'll work 2 single crochets in the next. Then 1 in the following stitch, and 2 in the next. That's twice. 1 in the next, 2 in the next. That's 3. We're supposed to do it 5 times. So single crochet in the next, 2 single crochets in the next. That's 4. 1 in the next, and 2 in the last one here, and that's 5. Single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There we go. And we should have 38 stitches. Okay, then we want to move our marker up, and this is where her pattern ends. This is where she says to cut your yarn and everything, but don't, because we're going to continue on with my pattern that I made with the Glover stitch. So we want to do the Glover stitch in each stitch around. Each Glover stitch is made up of 2 stitches total. So it kind of makes it weird to count the stitches, because there's actual stitches, and then there's the 2 stitches that make up the Glover stitch. So for round 1, we're going to be doing a Glover stitch, 21 Glover stitches in total, all the way around. To do the Glover stitch, you want to go in through the back loop only. Maybe I should go a little closer for this. You're not going in through the front loop. You're only going through this back loop. You want to go through that back loop and pull up a loop. Then you'll yarn over, and then going into the next stitch, you'll go under both loops of the next stitch and pull up a loop. 4 loops on your hook. You'll pull through all 4 loops, and very important, chain 1. That chain 1 is part of the stitch, so always chain 1 unless decreasing, which we'll be doing in this video, but I'll show you that. So that's 1. Again, go in through the back loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, go under both loops of the next stitch and pull up a loop. 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops and chain 1. And I'll show you that one more time. Make sure when you're looking for your next stitch that you don't have a stitch coming out of it, because see, I almost wanted to go into this one here, but if you just pull back, you can see there's a stitch coming out of it. I had to do that a lot with this pattern, so always make sure that the next stitch you're going into has not been used yet. So this one has been used, so I'm going to go over to this one, going into my back loop only, pulling up a loop, yarn over, go under both loops of the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 4 loops and chain 1. And you want to continue to do this all the way around until you reach your stitch marker again, and then this is your first Glover stitch. So your last Glover stitch should be here. Okay, this is what it looks like after the first round of Glover stitches. You should have 21 Glover stitches around total, and you can move your stitch marker up now to the very last Glover stitch. Actually, the very last Glover stitch. So we know that that's the very last stitch of the round. For round 2, you want to begin by doing 1 Glover stitch. I just want to make sure. Okay, this one's been used. So this is my very first stitch here. So you want to do 1 Glover stitch in the first stitch of the round, chaining 1 as normal, and then you want to do 3 decreased Glover stitches. And to do a decreased Glover stitch, all you have to do is just don't chain 1 at the end after you pull through all 4 loops. So it's very easy to do. So we're going to go in and do our back loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through both loops of the next stitch and pull up a loop. Now you just want to pull through all 4 loops and don't chain 1, and that's how you do the decreased Glover stitch. You want to do that again 2 more times. Pull through all 4 loops and don't chain. Do that 1 more time. Pull through all 4 loops and don't chain. Then you want to work a regular Glover stitch in the next 5 stitches. So go right into the next one, back loop only, yarn over, go under both loops of the next stitch, pull through all 4, and this time you want to chain 1 after. You need to do a total of 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then work a decreased Glover stitch as you did before 8 times. So you'll be doing 8 decreases now. So Glover stitch is normal, except only pull through the 4 and don't chain. You need to do it 8 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, beep beep, 7, and last one, 8. And then 2 regular Glover stitches worked in the last 2 stitches. So we're going to be chaining after we pull through all 4 loops, then chain, pull through all 4 loops and chain, and that will end round 2. And it says I have 19 stitches, well, 19 Glover stitches. So you're just counting the big part of the stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. I want to quickly pause it and count my actual stitches here, because some people would want the actual stitch count, which is 27. Seems kind of strange, but yeah, 27. And when you're counting, like 1, 2, 3, this very last chain that you did is counted as a stitch. It's part of the Glover stitch. It's 2 stitches. So when you're counting, you know, 1, 2, 3, remember the very last one, very last chain counts. Okay, so for round 3, let's move our stitch marker up to mark the last stitch of the round. And then 6 times you want to do a regular Glover stitch. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then decrease, Glover decrease stitch 5 times. So we're going to do 5 decreases. Pull through all 4 loops, that's 1, Pull through all 4 loops. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then Glover stitch in the last 2 stitches. Pull through all 4, chain 1, pull through all 4, chain 1. And that's our last Glover stitch of the row. So let's move our marker up. And that was round 3. So for round 4, we're going to be working 7 Glover stitches in a row. Let's find my last stitch. Okay, there we go. So this will be my first one. So you want to do 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then 2 decreases, 2 Glover stitch decreases. So we're going to pull through all 4 loops, go to the next, back loop only, yarn over under both, pull through all 4 loops, and that's it. Then the last 2 stitches will be Glover stitches, no decreases. So 2 regular Glover stitch, pull through all 4, chain 1, pull through all 4, chain 1. Says at the end of this round you should have 11 Glover stitches total, or if you like to count the actual stitches on top, you should have 19 stitches. 11 Glover stitches though. So for round 5, we're going to start single crocheting and decreasing 2. So find the first stitch here, put a single crochet as well into the next, and then we'll be doing a decrease. Go into the stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to do a single crochet decrease. Then we're going to repeat that all the way around, putting 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we'll do a single crochet decrease. Oops. Then repeat that all the way around. The idea is that you want to reduce to 15 stitches. Usually it takes you all the way to the end to be able to do that. Whoop. Single crochet, single crochet, and then I'm going to count before I do my last decrease of the row. I may not need to. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16. So I have 16 stitches. So I do need to decrease 1 more to get that 15 goal. So you'll be doing 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then the decrease for the whole row. You should have 15 stitches, and then for the very last round, round 6, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 15 stitches around. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then the next stitch, just going to do a slip stitch, chain 1, and cut your yarn where you can feed it in a tapestry needle. Get your marker off there, grab your tapestry needle. I like to turn my little booty inside out. And then just feed it down the stitches. Since this is waist weight yarn, it stretches. If you were using any other yarn to make this, you could have problems if it's more stiffer. This is made to stretch over the baby's foot. And I'll demonstrate with my little baby here. So you would just slide it on over. Because it stretches, it can fit there good, but it still has a nice tight hold around it. So there you go. Now I'm going to show you how to make that little flower. Okay, to make the flower, all you do is a chain of 2, and then you'll be working in this first chain that you, the second chain from the hook, the first chain that you did, and you'll be working 5 single crochets into that same chain. So I'm going to put my hook in there. I'm going to wrap my tail around my hook here so that I'm actually working over it as I do my single crochet. 1, 2, come on, yarn, 3, 4, and 5. Then you want to slip stitch in the beginning stitch. I like to count backwards from the last stitch that I worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my beginning stitch here. And I'll do a slip stitch. Then I'll chain 1, cut my yarn. You don't have to leave much of a tail, just enough to be able to work over. Even that seems a bit long. Now you want to grab your next color. I'm hoping this one will show up on camera pretty good. Oh, it's all, I've used this before, so there we go. Just going to make a slip knot. And then you can choose any of the stitches to start in. Doesn't really matter. I think I'm going to use this first stitch that's pretty clear. And I'm going to do a slip stitch attachment. So I just stuck my hook inside of the stitch, and then I'm going to bring up a loop without going through my slip knot. And then I'm going to yarn over after I gather all my tails here, because I want to work over them. Grab all my tails here. Then pull through both loops. Then you want to chain, I'll find it on here, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to slip stitch right back into that same stitch where you began with your single crochet. Let's go right into that same stitch and do a slip stitch. Then you're going to go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. And again, I'm still working over my tails. Then chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, go into that same stitch where you began and do a slip stitch. Next stitch, single crochet and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back into that same stitch and slip stitch. The next stitch, single crochet, chain 5. Go back into the same stitch. And then this is your last single crochet that we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, we did 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in that one. But if we left it like this, see this awkward little thing here going on? I pull my tails to hide them a little bit. If we This is a place where we slip stitch. This is the slip stitch right here. So we're going to put our final petal in the slip stitch just to even it all up and give us 6 petals. So we're going to go in there, single crochet, chain 5, go back into the same stitch and slip stitch. Then, just to make sure all our colors connected, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into this beginning stitch where we first began, and it'll bring that cover to like umbrella it to make sure that all the colors filled in all the way around. Then you'll chain 1 and leave yourself a bit of a tail and cut it. Then I'm going to cut my little extra tail here. Doesn't have to be completely short because this part is going to be on the booty and you won't see it. So let's thread our needle again. Try to make sure your flower is as even as you can get it. Let's put this on the yellow one that I made. I think it'll look better than on the blue. So just put it on there, position it where you want, then hold it with your thumb. And then we're only going to be going around this ring, not in the center part in the brown, but only in this kind of reddish orange color. So we're going to be going into like these single crochets that are around here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to try and pull up. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as much as you can. Pull up somewhere in that center ring area. And then you can move it around. Keep adjusting the flower if it moves. So I'm going to go in through here, then I'm going to turn my booty here and try to come up, not too far away from that one. Repositioning it again, going through, pulling up through the next. Just like that. And I think we've come full circle, so I'm just going to go ahead and hide it through some of the around booty. I'm not going deep into the actual booty underneath. I'm just kind of hiding it along the edges just so we have a little extra tail so it won't come loose. So I did that twice. The petals are free. I'm going to cut my yarn as close as I can. And there you go. There's the little flowers. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. And see this having this freeness here. See, kind of adds a little texture. I really like it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I want to thank again Whistle and Ivy for allowing me to use her soul pattern, and I hope that I can make a few more size booties for you guys. And you can find all the links to Whistle and Ivory down below, to her YouTube channel, the website, and to the tutorial where she shows you how to make the booty sole for sizes 3 to 6 months. Also, you can find all the links to all social media where I am too in the description box below. Also, the link to the pattern is also right under the video. So that's it. If you like this tutorial, please don't forget to like and share this. It helps me out so much. If you haven't got a chance to subscribe yet, please do that now. Thank you guys so very much for watching.